What's up everybody? Simon here. In this episode of Tech Visibility, I'm super excited actually to review this particular product because I've reviewed so many webcams here on the channel recently. You could check out my reviews from the Logitech C922 Pro, the Logitech 4K Brio, XP Cam, some budget affordable cameras on Amazon that are really cheap. Most are 1080p, a few of them were 4K, and today we're going to review this camera, which is the OBSBOT Tiny 4K. This has a zoom capability and face tracking, which is incredible. We're going to compare that to the 4K Brio and even the Logitech maybe C922 Pro, although this is a 4K shoot off. But this is supposed to track your face as you move. It's supposed to move with the gimbal. There is an option to zoom on your face, zoom out. I'm excited to unbox it, review it, and let you know if this is worth that extra $100 or so over the 4K Brio, and if this can actually be used maybe in a conference room for your meetings if you have a business. As you guys may know, we're building out a professional office with a lot of reviews to come. So we may be using these in our conference rooms for meetings with manufacturers or companies that want us to review their products, etc. So I'm excited to unbox this guy. Before I do, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and check out techvisibility.com for the latest product news and reviews. Let's review this AI bot that tracks your face and zooms in. Let's go. Okay, so here is the packaging. It is really well packed. It looks very professional. A good mixture of white and red. I love the logo. I think that's a great logo. Love when companies do that in the background. And overall, really very impressed. 4K. It feels sturdy. On the back, not much info. There is just a tiny 4K camera, USB-C to USB-C, and there's an adapter. A piece of plastic to remove. I'll get my surgical knife here, get this cut up, and we're good to go. So let's get this opened up. All right, it opens from, looks like the bottom pretty much, and I think you could slide it out from what I'm understanding. Yeah, there you go. Oh, a nice red box. Look at that, guys. That looks very impressive. It pops out like that. Video calls with freedom is what it says. I am so impressed with this packaging. Overall, this looks great. There is a little bit of a manual that comes in here with a little bit of packaging. A lot of these companies are copying, obviously, Apple with their packaging design, but this looks great. Now, the two most important gesture features with this OBSBOT, and we should kind of look, is the hand that is like this. So this is the most important gesture feature, number one. Now what this does here is locks and unlocks the target. In this case, it will be my face. So that will lock me. So if you're in a conference room, you could do this. It will lock you on the face and it'll just follow you as you move in a presentation. On top of that, you have your zoom in and zoom out gestures, and that looks like this. So zoom in and zoom out will be like that. So zoom in, zoom out. All right, and that's pretty simple. Now it does indicate that you have to be away from your face, so you can't do it like that. It has to see it clear. So I'm excited to test that out. Aside from that, obviously you have your tutorials, and it tells you kind of basics here, what the indicators mean, what the on-off buttons are, but it's pretty straightforward. There is a clip how to mount it, and I don't think it's going to help us much. So we're going to go ahead and get into the packaging side of it. What's neat is they give you a case, so you could take this with you into another conference room or move it around. I do find this case to be really nice. Feels sturdy. And I don't know how much the camera would move around, but it's probably just going to be stationary for the most part. Opens up like so, you have your magnet here and a mount, and that's really neat. So it's actually magnet mounted. There is a tripod connection that you could do on the bottom as well. There is a sticker here. This is a gimbal, so it's like a DJI gimbal. The sticker does prevent it from scratching. We'll see how good the quality of the lens is. In here, nothing else, and then you have a couple other cables. So you get your USB connection here, and we gotta get this unwrapped to show you guys what this is all about. So it looks like the power adapter is one cable, and obviously there'll be an additional cable for your transfer of data. And that's it right here. So 2 cables required to plug this in, but not a big deal because they're both USBs. This one happens to be USB-C to USB-C, which means you could directly plug it into your MacBook Pro, or you could use the attached adapter, or the included adapter, I should say, to connect it one way to a USB-A. We'll probably end up doing that. All right, so that was it that came in there. Really neat. Let's look at the camera a little bit. It has 2 microphones, one here and one here. It's all swivel, so everything is swiveling around. There's the power plug adapter. It's a DC 5 volt and your USB-C. This mounts like that. Very strong magnet. I mean, this thing is not moving and it's not gonna fall off, hopefully. However, they do include some tape here for you to tape this on if necessary, okay? And that is a big feature for them, just to make sure that it stays on to whatever you're gonna be recording, okay? There is a little bit of heaviness here, but we're gonna be able to mount it on our monitor here and really just get a perspective of how it looks in low light and pretty much how it looks overall. You do wanna center the camera to the tripod of what you're looking at and kind of leave it up there. I'm really excited. This could be a really great potential product for what I need personally and for meetings and interviews, etc. So this does come in a 1080p version, but this is the 4K. It's supposed to be much better. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and plug it in now, and I'm gonna do recordings on this camera, this microphone. I'm going to record the OBSBOT 4K mic to show you how it sounds in the same room, and then I'll switch to the 4K Brio as well. So once you have them plugged in, you got 2 power cords here. If this sits on top of a TV in a conference room or on top of your monitor, it's not a hassle. I think this is a really great option. Okay, in order for the camera to work, once we got it plugged in, we had to go ahead and download the OBSBOT 4K software directly off their website. You could check out their website and just quickly download the file for Windows or Mac. Here's the download page here, and you could see the OBSBOT Tiny Cam. You could download Mac and Windows, and you could also do a firmware download as well. There's a manual available on their site as well. Now the software looks pretty much like this, where you do have your device on and it looks like it's connected. You could position it lower, you could focus it on you, and as I'm doing that, pretty much the camera is adjusting, and you could see here the OBSBOT is moving as I am recording. So sorry to grab my camera this way, but you could totally have the camera face down or up or you, which is pretty neat. So right now I'm recording on the Logitech 4K Brio just so you could see. All right, so now that we've done that and we showed you that the Tiny Cam software on this recording, we're gonna go ahead and start testing the cameras. And from here, I was able to open a sub-menu by pressing this button, and then it went into the software of the camera, and I'm gonna turn on autofocus HDR, but then I went into update. And now it would like to access the camera, that's fine. So it's updating the camera with the firmware. It says it failed. So let's try that again by clicking update, yes, yes, and then let's see what's gonna happen. Click OK. It's gonna start updating the camera, and it seems to have a hard time updating it for whatever reason. I'm not sure. Let's see if we could go ahead and work with the firmware that's installed. Maybe it's something I'm doing, maybe it's something on their end. So it looks like the software just crashed according to my opinion, but now we could reopen it. Maybe that's gonna fix it. So let's go see if the camera will connect again. And it doesn't look like it's connecting, which is pretty crazy. So having a little bit issue installing the OBSBOT 4K camera, that's for sure. It's not a plug and play. Now it finally connected, and it looks like there is one camera here, and some of the other options are not really allowing to do anything or allowing me to mess with it. So lock this part out. Let's see if we could do a recording anyway. Okay, I finally have the OBSBOT 4K Tiny complete with an update in the firmware. What happened was originally it did not update and it wanted to not act responsive to anything I was doing. So I had to unplug it and re-plug it back in, allow it to reset, relaunch the software, do the firmware update again, and it took about 5 or 10 minutes. So we're done with that. The firmware is up to date. The gimbal again is responsive, and we're gonna go ahead and start testing these videos. Okay, here we go. We're gonna do our first recording on the OBSBOT Tiny 4K, and we're gonna see if the Tiny 4K is gonna do a good job with the recording or if it's gonna give us some problems. Here we go. Okay guys, so I am recording on the OBSBOT Tiny 4K. Let's see how it looks and how it sounds. So here I'm doing the pinch to zoom out. It actually is giving me a little bit of problems with the software. So now I'm able to finally connect it, but it should zoom out here, and it indicates as a blue flash where it zooms out and so forth. So this is with the lights on. Now I'm gonna track my face, so it should move as I move. And as you see here, if I'm sitting in a room, but I want more face zoom, it would still do that, and it would have a good opportunity to track me enough. That's not the most zoom it does. In fact, it will actually zoom in a little bit more than that. So this is about 2 times the zoom, and this is on the mic, and this is all the way 4x. That's how much it will zoom in, and that's how I sound from about 2 feet away. So you could zoom out, you could use the software to do that as well while you're in your meeting. Again, it should be tracking me, so even if I move this way, it's gonna show and get me in frame, and it tries to catch up with the gimbal and center me at all times. Now, I'm not sure how we can get it to go up or down. That's one thing that I would see if we could do in gestures. Would be pretty cool, probably in the manual. However, I'm just trying to give you the perspective of the audio as well as the quality of the 4K HD. I'm gonna turn off the lights here, and you're gonna see how it looks with a low light setting, and basically gives you an opportunity to track me and my face in a low light setting and adjust to different lights in the room. So overall, pretty good camera for $250. I think it's an excellent choice that you can get for a professional camera for presentations and point at things and so forth, and go to the drawing board and say, hey, this is this, and so forth. A lot more innovative, and it's super quiet. You don't hear the gimbal. And now I'm starting the recording on the 4K Brio. This is the 4K Brio. I'm gonna be brief. You can see the movements. Obviously, it's not gonna track my face. That's not what this camera is about. This is a PTZ camera compared to a 4K camera. Both are 4K. One tracks the face, one you could zoom and play with. It might be better for a conference room setting than just a desktop setting like this. However, you could see how I sound, how I look. This is how I look with low light on the Brio, the A6400 Sony, which is $1,200. And this is kind of the setting here versus the Osmo PTZ. We could put the Osmo and the Brio side by side in the screen, and you could see the quality of the images. Obviously, I'll be talking on this one. They could still show the OBSBOT, excuse me, Tiny 4K on this end. But overall, I'm very impressed with it. It's small, okay? And I like it. I love the face tracking. I so far am impressed with the software. For about $240 is what it's going for. The link is below in the description. There you have it, folks. I reviewed the OBSBOT 4K Mini. It's a tiny camera. The size of it is very impressive. It's very small, and it's just a great overall camera that has this gimbal that can move and track your movements. Software updating was a little bit tricky, but we got it done. The magnet is great. If you want to put it on a more secure mount, like a tripod mount, you're able to do so. I'd probably do that on the TV. They do give you a magnet. I didn't use the magnet because we didn't know we were keeping it or where we would put it, and it did fall off one time. It does work fine, etc. Just make sure you center the name when you're mounting it so it gets the best gimbal. It does move in one direction, and it is able to track you with certain speeds. So overall, very good product. Now, the highlights. 4K resolution, excellent. This has a great processor with a digital zoom. You could see the zoom. I did play with it with the gesture, which is pretty cool. It did track my face as I got up and followed me. I think it's nice for a conference room. It doesn't give you that big old zoom, so it's probably not for a big conference room, but this is a lot better than a lot of cameras out there. With 4K, you're able to zoom better and still get that clarity, and we were actually able to see the clarity in the recording with 4K, so you be the judge. Looked very good in low light. It has HDR, autofocus, and face focus, and there are menus with their software, which we went over as well in the download. This does have privacy mode when you turn the camera down like this, so you could just twist it and it won't record you, obviously, which is neat. And you can do that yourself. You don't need to put any shutters. So overall, for the price, incredible camera. At 4K, you get 30 frames per second, which is pretty good, and 60 frames per second at 1080p, which is what we saw with the 4K Brio as well. Omnidirectional microphones, there's 2, so they're going to pick up that sound in your conference room or in your home. And it's going to get your voice up to 10 feet, which is really nice. Overall, very impressed. You be the judge. We're going to do the editing. We're going to see the comparison, but you be the judge and let us know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give us a like for trying this thing out, comparing it to the Logitech 4K Brio. Subscribe to our channel and check out techvisibility.com for the latest product news and reviews. I'll catch you guys here in the next video. Thank you.